So soon. I am might take a couple. Yeah, it's actually really yeah, pretty much. No, I mean, so it's not good. So, I mean, it's like I mean, I'm also going to Chicago. And that's something I can't those are just I knew someone who actually, or like a couple months, I am, yeah. Because it's like my life is so long, but yeah, I don't want you know, what the only thing to do that work was take me more than one of
No, no. You're just talking about so huge.
Hello everybody, welcome to the Open Style Lab's final presentation. Thank you for coming on time. We are really excited to show you what we've been doing over the summer. So for those of you who are new to Open Style Lab, what we are is a 10-week summer program at MIT, and we teamed up student designers, engineers, and occupational therapists to create clothing for people with disabilities. And I believe some of our clients are also here with us today. Clients, if you're here, would you raise your hand? Yeah, today in the audience is you guys. Okay, right, so just to give you a brief breakdown of what's going to happen, we have 8 teams who are very excited to show you what they've been working on for the past few weeks. So they'll each have 5 minutes to present. You'll have some time for some quick questions. If we'll be kind of controlling the time, but if you have other burning questions, don't worry. At 3:30, we're going to have some refreshments in the hallway, and you can transition to the next room across the hallway, where there'll be kind of a science fair kind of distribution, and you can stop by and ask them more questions. So without further ado, we'll let this take it away. So, Steve. Okay. Hello everyone, we are Team Steve as part of the Open Style Lab, and we are also the designers of NeoClosure. My name is Alex Spiller, I'm an occupational therapy student. This is Hannah O, our industrial design student, and Leah Gaffney, our engineer student. Before we explain what NeoClosure is all about, I just want to tell you a bit about our client who was our inspiration this past summer. Steve Hirsch was our client. He is a wonderful guy. He is a father, he is a husband, and he's also a classes professor at Tufts University. He's also a power soccer coach and player for the local power soccer team, the Boston Breakers. Steve is also a wheelchair user. Steve was diagnosed with Guillain-Barré syndrome about 17 years ago. This left him paralyzed, knee down. It also affected muscles in his hands, so he has very little fine motor control. In fact, with most grasping, he just uses the palms of his hands. Currently, right now, Steve wears shiny basketball pants. They have snaps along the side. These have been the most functional pants for him for various occupations, such as dressing and going to the bathroom. He'll be able to slide on the pants while in bed, and then unsnap one leg in order to use the restroom. As functional as these pants have been for Steve, there are existing problems with this limited option. First of all, they are not aesthetically pleasing. Steve is a professor, and the athletic wear does not reflect his profession. They also do not open very easily. He has to do a great deal of force with his tops. And lastly, these pants are not ideal for the winter months. The gaps between the snaps and light fabric, air can get through those gaps, so they do not keep his legs very warm.
So we created a guideline of design goals based on the issues with the current solution, as Alex has mentioned. And so we found that essentially we wanted the design to be very simple in design and functionality. We really wanted to improve Steve's life and not create a major change in his lifestyle. So we began by doing a really quick market research analysis of currently existing pants for individuals in wheelchairs, and we did a little chart based on Steve's needs, and we found that none of these products really kind of hit the mark. So we kind of went into an in-depth research of different types of closures out there, between full closures and point closures, closures that are used in clothes, and then just closures used in everyday life. And for aesthetics, we really wanted to focus on simplicity in design and function with a hint of sophistication. And so we kind of ended up in the end with the idea of creating a closure that would be embedded in the side seam of the pants, so it's very discreet. So we began developing our concept with initial sketches. We decided to create a hybrid between a full closure and a point-by-point closure, so that the pants are really fluid in motion when he moves around or shuffles, but also very tight and secure, which narrowed down our option of closures to magnets. So as you can see here, these are just different types of magnetic closures in seams and different types of magnets, and just seeing how they would work. And so we started doing some quick prototypes. And the next slides will show you the little prototypes of different types of magnets and closures that we've made, which led up to the final design that we're here to present to you today.
So the magnets we settled on are these really small cylindrical magnets. The key part here is their unique polarization orientation that allows them to be strongest through their length. So that means that pieces of fabric with these material magnets embedded can be secured end to end. So this is the closure. Our magnets have an incredible strength-to-weight ratio, so they're strong enough to hold the fabric together, but they're gentle enough to avoid pinching, also to be too hard to open, and also they don't interact with any nearby ferromagnetic materials. The magnets are really small, so they're nearly invisible in the seam and very lightweight. They're also sewn into the seam in a deliberately alternating fashion so that the pants don't bunch up, and each magnet it most wants to attract to its intended mate. So they actually are really good at closing themselves. So we also took into account a few other smaller design features. You can see here the underflap. So here's all these features summarized. The pants shouldn't open during normal movement, but we do have a protective underflap here to conceal any small openings and to protect the skin from any rubbing of the seam. We've removed all buttons, pockets, zippers, and back loops because those just provide pressure points and discomfort. We also have an elastic waistband and 2 loops undersewn in the side seam to provide pull holes. So all those small things are important changes, but what we've really created here is a magnetic seam. It's incredibly versatile and can provide many more clothing options for Steve. Our vision for the future is to incorporate this design into clothing for everyone to provide easy open garments that will then close themselves. So our magnets will be waterproofed. We're currently working on different concepts to seal our magnets, and we're excited to be coming full circle and creating pants for Steve that he can wear more easily while looking great. So thank you all for coming, and thanks to Steve and everyone who's helped us through this project. We look forward to seeing you guys at the booth, and we'll hand it off to Team Barbara. Oh, no, sorry, question. So the question was, how would Steve put on the pan?
The pants already have the snaps already on, so he doesn't unsnap them when he dresses. He sits in the bed at the edge and kind of wiggles while laying in the bed to slide them on. And he only deals with his snap when he has to go to the restroom. Any more questions?
What sort of cost is associated with the magnets? Is it like something relatively cheap?
The question is, what type of cost is associated with the magnets?
They're relatively cheap, but we haven't really explored larger production of this yet. The rare earth magnets aren't the cheapest things out there, but we can get 100 magnets for $15.
Okay, thank you. I was going to mention we forgot to introduce ourselves. So I'm actually Grace, and this is Alice. I'm maybe the co-chair for Open Starlight this summer. All right. Thank you. So as you can see, we have really short time for questions, but if you all want to ask more questions, we'll have a design exit after this. Next up, Team Barbara.
Hello, everyone. We are Team Barbara. I am Bethany, the designer. This is Dennis, the engineer. Nikki, the occupational therapist. Barbara, give a wave. My wonderful sister Trish, and we are all Team Barbara. We met Barbara the first weekend of class, and we instantly bonded with her. It became more like a family. Barbara gave valuable feedback. She was on board with everything. She was funny, and she speaks her mind, which is great, right, Barbara? We knew right away whether she liked something or whether she didn't, which helped us tremendously because we were able to move right through different prototypes to something that really worked for her. Barb has a below-the-knee amputation on her left leg. She experienced chronic pain before, which made her have a hard time walking and made daily tasks and social activities a little bit difficult. After the prosthetic, things got better, but with that, there were some problems that she wasn't expecting, and Nikki's going to take this over.
So as Bethany mentioned, the prosthetic greatly improved the quality of life for Barbara, but there were some problems that arose. For example, Barbara had a hard time finding pants that fit her body type. She also could not find pants that allowed her easy access to her prosthetic that she adjusted at least 5 times a day. Just imagine having to change your underwear 5 times a day and having to go through the process of dressing and undressing each time, and that's exactly what Barbara experiences each time she needs to adjust her prosthetic. Furthermore, she could not find pants that did not cut into her stomach and pants that were aesthetically pleasing and fashionable. We all want to look good in our clothes, and so does Barbara. During our initial brainstorming session, we quickly realized that we did not need to design pants from scratch. We simply needed to modify a pair of jeans to meet Barbara's needs and individual measurements. With these methods and formula, Barbara can modify majority of the pants to suit her needs. So we bought a pair of pants from a store that shall remain nameless.
Walmart.
And in order to make the prosthetic easily accessible, we decided to install a zipper. We tried various positions for the zipper and decided to install it in the inner seam up to the knee. This zipper allowed easy access to the prosthetic and made the process of donning the prosthetic much simpler. In the past, it took Barbara 10 minutes to put on her pants. With the zipper, the amount was reduced to 2 minutes. We also inserted elastics at the waist to allow the pants to adjust to Barbara's body type throughout the day. To give the pants a more of a personal touch, Beth Ann custom painted a design onto the pants based on Barbara's style.
Okay, so a second issue that we came across as we were talking to Barbara was that the ridge of her prosthetic would push towards her pants and catch the pants. And this caused her great discomfort. It irritated her skin and it just ruined the fabric of her pants. And because of this, Barbara wore shorts 365 days a year. Exactly. And we wanted to solve this problem not with just another alteration to the pants that we were making, but as a separate solution, something she can use with the altered pants, but also with all her other pants. And for this purpose, we designed the prosthetic bridge guard, or simply the PRG. Yeah, and this is a very simple design, but the design process for it was actually very complex. And we went through many prototypes, some of which look pretty funny, and you'll get to see at the booth. But we eventually optimized it based on 3 goals. We wanted it to be, first of all, breathable and light so that she can wear it throughout the day without it bothering her. We wanted it to be sturdy so it protected the pants from the ridge. And we wanted it to be easy to put on and off so that it didn't really bother her and she could incorporate it into her dressing routine very easily. For this purpose, we have to think a little outside the box for our final design. And we actually used an abdominal liner. We cut it up. And this is perfect material because it's really light and breathable and soft against her skin. We went on to reinforce the area over the ridge with a foam patch. And then we covered it all with Lycra. And the reason for that was it's very slippery material, so the pants could just slide off of it very easily without pulling it down. We added Velcro straps, which make it really easy to put on and off for Barbara. It took her 10 seconds maybe. And we also added a strip of silicone at the bottom to hold it in place and prevent it from slipping down against the prosthetic plaster. So yeah, the PRG was designed custom for Barbara, but we believe that it could actually be useful for a lot of people with prosthetics facing similar issues. It's adjustable, so it could work for other people. I mean, it could just be adjusted for different sizes. It could also, it's such a simple design, we can recreate it for possibly arm prosthetics or different positions on the leg. And it's a very low-tech addition to the high-tech assistive tech of a prosthetic, making it more optimal for the user.
Barbara and Trish, thanks for letting us in your hearts and in your home. We were fortunate enough to get a little bit of a video of Barbara seeing her pants for the first time with tears in her eyes. So we're going to show that to you right now. Oh, oh, that's great. I'm so glad you like that. So with that, thank you very much. We're looking forward to the rest of your journey. Are there any questions?
This is the next
job that we have.
Yeah, next up we have Team Rochelle. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Catherine Morrissey. I'm a graduate of the Fashion Institute of Technology and a designer on the team. This is Derek Wong. He is an OT graduate student at Tufts, and Melody Liu, a mechanical engineering student here at MIT. We are really pleased to be here today to present Radiant Sandals, a heated, open-toed shoe for our client, Rochelle. Rochelle is a brilliant young woman in her late 20s who's an MIT graduate student here. And she actually happens to also suffer from Raynaud's disorder. Raynaud's disorder is one where you lose temperature very easily in your extremities. So it's not just that you have cold feet or cold hands and it's uncomfortable for a few moments. It's actually to the point where it's really painful and your toes can literally turn purple. So we decided to make the heated open-toe sandal for her. So imagine going into your closet, having skirts, dresses, shoes for spring, summer, fall, and not being able to wear any of it. Well, this is the reality for people with Raynaud's. 15% of young women ages 20 through 40 actually suffer from Raynaud's disorder. And 5% of the world's population has Raynaud's disorder. These are some of the limitations that individuals have. So you're stuck wearing sneakers, socks under sandals, not so fashionable, not so easy to kind of walk down the street next to someone in a sundress, and long pants.
And the footwear industry is actually a $200 billion business. So we're personally psyched to bring Radiant Sandals to market and be an adaptive player in the space.
And so when we started looking into how to design a solution for warm weather footwear, we wanted to look at the existing products for heating of the foot already. And what we found were disposable heat packs, heated insoles, and battery-operated boots. And none of these really worked for an open-toe solution. A lot of the inserts you can see inside an open-toe shoe. And there weren't really any battery-operated heated solutions that were open-toed. So we decided to make something that would incorporate a heat source within the body of the shoe so that it would be slim enough to really fit in a sandal and work well with warm weather. And so to do this, we started looking at different types of materials that would both help contain the heat and also to spread the heat over the foot to maximize really from a central heat source. When we first started looking at the design of the shoe, we kind of decided where we were going in terms of we're looking at two main questions, or we wanted to answer two main questions, which were, is the sandal covering enough of the foot to be effective, and where were we going to put the heat source? And so we sketched up a number of ideas. A lot of them you can see have varying amounts of fabric. Some of them are even more of a peep-toe, flat kind of design. But we wanted to throw these out to Rochelle to see which one she would like best. And so we actually took her shoe shopping. And so normally she isn't able to buy sandals, but we kind of let her go wild and just choose what she would choose if she were able to buy sandals. And we decided, or we discovered that she liked scrappy gladiator type sandals, and that's what we decided to move forward on.
Next, the build portion. So we decided that we had to have two designs or two models, a looks like model and a works like model. So first with the looks like model, again, we took our shoe shopping, looked at different designs of shoes, and so the basic design is that there is a heat pouch here in the center, and that holds a disposable heat pack. So like one of those 7-hour lasting hand warmer, toe warmers that you can get at a store. Next, after we decided the design of the shoe, it has straps that have fabric that spread the heat down to all over the foot. To finalize our looks like model further, we made molds of Rochelle's feet, and then we made a fabric model of the shoe. Next in testing the works like models, so we looked at different fabrics, different conducting and insulating types of fabrics, layered them together in different ways, and tested them with an infrared thermometer. So we made 9 different combinations of fabrics and tested them with Rochelle's feet, asking her which one she thought would spread heat the most or retain the most heat. So we had 2 main questions for heat. One, keeping the foot warm, so not radiating heat outwards, and also 2, spreading the heat within the foot. And our winning combination was leather. The second layer is insulating fabric. The third layer is the heat source, the heat pack, and the fourth is the conducting fabric, so that will spread it all over the foot. And this is our final model, or working prototype as of yet, which integrates those together.
So we're running out of time, so just wanted to thank the Open Style Lab team, our mentors, and Rochelle for this great opportunity. We're moving forward into the next stage of development, working with the Cobbler in New York and the Fashion Institute of Technology. So really excited. Thank you guys so much.
Any questions?
I want to know about the other materials that you guys are trying that didn't work. What else did you all come to?
So the question was, what other types of materials have we tried? We actually had I think we had 2 different types of conducting fabric and 3 different types of insulating material, and we ended up, they were all different thicknesses and properties. So what we ended up going with was actually our thinnest insulating material, which was from Radiant Barrier, and I think we actually got a donation from them. And it retains 95% of heat loss and is actually reflective, and so it insulates and prevents heat from going in and also reflects it back down to the foot.
Right, next up we have Team NECC. So most of our clients were actually people with disabilities, but we decided to go one concentric circle out and not just look at the people with disabilities, but also the people who care for those with disabilities. And so here's Team NECC.
Thank you, and welcome. Thanks for joining us. We're Team NECC, and we're really excited to be sharing this with you. We have Sophia, Linda, and myself, Kevin. So a bit about NECC. NECC stands for the New England Center for Children. They are one of the leading facilities for autism research and education. And they serve over 250 autistic children, whether it's in their day program or residential. And because they are one of the leading facilities, they actually have a wide range of children that they serve, and some of which are moderately to highly aggressive. By aggressive, I mean some of them may punch, hit, and most challenging, bite. And that's one of the focuses that we wanted to kind of zone in on today. So in order to serve these children, caregivers have to wear protective gear. So this is just a glimpse of what it is like in NACC. As you can see, there's a lot of interaction between the caregivers and the students. They supervise. They also teach them whether it's social behavior and special curriculum from an iPad or a book. And also, when you look at this environment, when they're dealing with moderately to highly aggressive children, it's for the safety of the caregivers to wear protective gear. So just a bit about what they wear. To protect themselves against bites, on top of their ordinary clothing, they have a layer of denim jacket, as well as foam padding. So there are some problems, right? One of which is temperature. It gets really hot, especially with all those layers. Number two, it limits your flexibility, whether you're reacting to aggressive behavior or you're flipping a book. And number three, because there's a wide range, some of the caregivers actually are unprepared for sudden outbursts of aggression. And this is the consequence. Potential bruising and puncturing the skin. And one of the biggest insights that we got was that caregivers, when they're interacting with the kids and when they're preparing for work, they feel like they're gearing up for battle. And that's not something that we want in a school setting.
So moving into the design phase, we wanted to keep this balance in mind, that there's really a balance between protection and comfort, and what is the ideal for the caretakers. We wanted to get inspiration from all over the place, some of our inspiration here. We also had to consider things like, where do bites come from? What direction are they coming from? And with help from NECC, we were able to find out which ones were the most severe and which ones happened with the most frequency. In the first stage of prototyping, we made some initial mock-ups to explore a wide variety of ideas that we had. And the one that we decided to move forward with uses layers to take advantage of individual characteristics of materials and sort of stacking them together to make a better whole. The layers that we have in our final product center around Kevlar as a protective fabric. It is very cut and puncture resistant, and as a protective layer, it prevents the teeth from drawing blood. Around that, we have additional corset foaming, adds an additional barrier for the teeth, and also spreads out some of the pressure and make it more comfortable for the caretaker. Adding in another layer of foam underneath that makes it just a little bit softer. On both the outside and the inside, we're using an athletic mesh fabric, which offers a wicking protection for the arms and also makes it more comfortable.
So once we got all those pieces figured out, we began developing a full-scale prototype that we can test for protection, flexibility, breathability, and most importantly, comfort. So for the first prototype, we based it off of an existing sports jacket. We constructed the different layers in the sleeve and tucked it inside the jacket. But after some testing and much conversation with the caretakers at NECC, we quickly came to the conclusion that making a pair of sleeves rather than the full jacket was not only more cost-effective, it also allowed the caretakers to wear their own clothing over the sleeves and thereby making them feel more comfortable in a classroom setting. So afterwards, the other iterations, we sort of mocked up the sleeves idea and tested a few variations which are finalized in this prototype that Linda is currently wearing. So as you can see, the combination of Kevlar, boning, and foam prevents puncture, but it also decreases the impacts from biting. Yet it is still soft, flexible, and light. And on the back, the elastic keeps the sleeves in place, yet when you need a greater degree of movement, the sleeves easily stretches and allows you to, allows the sleeves to move in your body. So here is the before and after. And as you can see, you can easily wear a jacket or a sweatshirt over it without looking bulky or too heavy. Thank you.
I have two. One, how much does that weigh as opposed to what they were wearing?
So the question is, how much does that weigh compared to what they're wearing?
I think compared to the weight of the denim jacket, which is pretty heavy, and also the foam, which is pretty bulky, this is pretty lightweight compared to that.
I'm still not sure. You're welcome to try it on later.
And did you have someone try it, bite? What happened? So we tried to bite.
The question was if we had anybody actually try to bite, and the answer is yes. But it's sort of, we have wonderful friends, and amongst yourselves, it's not been used at the school yet, so we'll be delivering this to them very soon.
That's awesome. And this material, if a bite does happen, the person is fine, right? It doesn't hurt them.
Yes, so the question is making sure that if a child bites, the child themselves are not injured, and everything is flexible and remainable, so it won't harm the child's tooth or mouth. No worries, all the students signed like waivers and nobody would come to it. No worries about that. So we had a very functional type of clothing. Now we're going to switch gears a little bit to talk about performance dresses. So take it away, Team A. Thank you.
Hey, so we're Team Angie. I'm Tara, and this is my partner Sam. We also have a third partner, Ellie, but she can't be here because she's at her best friend's wedding this weekend. And we have our wonderful client, Angie, and she's actually modeling one of our dresses that we'll talk about later today. So Angie is a young musician, singer, and songwriter based out of Cambridge, and she has a really eclectic, fun style. But recently, she was diagnosed with arthritis, and it really affects her hand. So as an example, this kind of motion is really difficult for her now, and she usually ends up clamping with her other 3 fingers in her palm. So as you can imagine, that's made getting into a lot of her clothing that she already owns for performing very difficult. So things like zippers, especially tiny zippers on dresses, and in the back and side can be really difficult for her. Also snap closures, if she doesn't have a hard bone to press them against, like if they're not looking on her collarbones on her hips. And also tying bows on dresses can be very difficult. So right now her solution has sometimes been to opt for more like less fitted clothing and looser clothing. And then also she sometimes just bears through the pain and gets stuff on. Like she told us when she got a shirt on, and then it was too impossible to get off, so she actually had to cut herself out of it. That's how hard it was. So we thought there's got to be a better way for her to get into clothes that she already has in the closet instead of buying a whole new wardrobe, especially one that doesn't fit her well. So we designed a new guide for anyone who has lower hand mobility to re-outfit the clothing in their closet that they already own. So first up, we were actually found in jewelry stores. They have these huge pendants that have clips on them. So you can buy those for a couple dollars and just clip them right onto a zipper you already own, and that gives you more of a surface area for clearing your hands. It's really easy low-cost solution. Something a little bit more intensive is a jeweled collar that I sew by hand. So this comes in 2 pieces, a larger piece that you attach to your zipper, and then you can use that for, again, larger surface area to pull up and then incorporate that into the higher part of the collar. A third option was a wrap dress that Angie actually already owned. These often have snap closures that snap into the soft part of your stomach, or bow ties as well. So we replace those all with Velcro. This way it's really easy for her to get on and off, and it'll also stay on when it's on. This is what she's saying.
So
We're also looking at how to customize the zipper pull. And we noticed that Angie has limited options for our jewelry because most of them have fairly small clasps. So we came up with this clamshell structure with 3 small grooves for a zipper tab and a necklace. And if you could play the video. Here's an instruction of how you can use the product. You simply insert a tab into the necklace, into the product, and you insert the necklace and close it along with the necklace. And you simply use the necklace as a full cord. We imagine that it would be really useful for dresses with a zipper in the back, so you don't have to help for assistance. You don't have to ask for assistance. And another application of this product will be using a scarf. So you'll have to use an O-ring instead of a necklace to tie a knot with a scarf and insert it in the product. And you insert the product in the zipper on your back or on the zipper on your skirt and wear it as a scarf or in case as a belt. So the scarf wouldn't be blown away by the wind. For our final challenge, we made a custom dress for Angie for her performance for a new album. So we went out shopping with Angie, and she picked up a few of her favorite dresses, which were too tight for her. So with help of our seamstress Danen, we deconstructed those pieces and made them into a 2-dress piece ensemble. So you can mix and match. And for all these pieces, we incorporated the elements we've shown you so far, as well as the pull tabs and stretchy waist, so she can easily go in and out.
Actually, the pull tabs are hidden, but each piece, like this is a separate piece, this one is, this, the underskirt, and then you can, sort of like those little girl figures with the tabs when you're little, you can actually make several outfits and take it off, and there's like probably 5 or 7 outfits in this alone. Each one has little tabs, like the logo, except they're loose, so I can pull them with my hand. Yeah. Nice.
We'll open the floor for a question.
We also have a few other dresses that we can show you at our booth after this. Oh, yeah. So where can I buy it?
When can you buy it? Or where?
Yeah.
To say that the style that I've evolved into because of this whole process has been amazing because it's actually oomphed up my stage style, so I'm very happy about that part of it because it's part of my job.
Louis Donna is a seamstress who has helped us actualize the project, and she's a model guard. Is there any question? Thank you so much.
All right, thank you. And next up we have Team Ryan.
Hi everyone, my name is Kira. I'm an occupational therapy student at Boston University. This is June. She's a student in mechanical engineering here at MIT, and this is Alex. He is an industrial design student at RISD. And together we are Team Ryan. This is Ryan. Ryan is 32 years old. He's a Massachusetts native. He loves to be active, he loves to spend time with his family and friends, and his biggest passion in life is biking. He is he's excited to have the opportunity to work for a company that leads cycling trips all over the world. A few years ago when he was working in Spain, he was involved in a cycling accident, and he sustained an injury to his spinal cord. So now Ryan uses a power chair to get around most of the time, but he's been focusing all of his energy and his efforts on his recovery, and he's been able to regain a lot of the use of his arms and legs, and he's really proud of the fact that now he's able to walk for some short distances using crutches, which is really fantastic. Due to the nature of Ryan's injury and as he regains a lot of the mobility, his nerves are really regenerating their function, which unfortunately causes his nerves to be overreactive to certain sensations, such as certain fabrics on his skin, and rain. Unfortunately, rain causes him a lot of discomfort. He says that the sensation of rain on his skin feels like needles. It's almost like the sensation of getting a tattoo. So this is a big problem for him living in New England where the weather is changing all the time. So we really wanted to create a solution for him that would work.
So we decided to design a jacket for Ryan to fit his unique needs and style. We went for a sporty, well-fitted jacket that looks as if it's a regular sweater hoodie, but it has several built-in features. First, the profile of the jacket was designed to better fit a person in a seated posture. When a person sits down, their torso shortens, so we shortened the length of the jacket to prevent extra fabric bunching in Ryan's lap and chair.
So due to the injury, Ryan also has an issue regulating his temperature. So a regular rain jacket, they're very insulated, so you heat up really easily. So one thing we wanted to focus on is creating a rain jacket that can also breathe. So the top where the rain is hitting the most on the hood and on the shoulders is going to be very water repellent, but the rest of the jacket is going to feature materials that are more breathable. So the front here, we have a more breathable material that is also water resistant, and on the back side, where his back sits against the chair, is an even more breathable material that you find more in sports garments, so that his back can easily breathe and he can much better.
So with traditional jackets, it would take Ryan over 5 minutes just to put it on with the help of someone else. So we added this main zipper on the back that opens up the jacket wider, so there's a bigger opening for Ryan to get in easily. Also, the zipper is on the right side of his back so that there wouldn't be harmful pressure on his spine. The zipper also gives Ryan an option to close the jacket himself by using the zipper tether. This feature was Ryan's own idea, inspired by the wetsuit design. The tether is also removable, so he can choose to use it or remove it as he pleases. Since Ryan has greater range of motion in his left arm, he can reach across his body and pull down on the tether to zip the jacket closed. There are loops sewn into the tether so that Ryan can use each loop to gradually pull down the zipper instead of having to pull all the way across the body.
So on the front of the jacket, we wanted to incorporate a hood. One for the aesthetics that Ryan has always liked. He always likes wearing hoodies, so that's one thing we're looking at. But we saw an opportunity with the pocket itself as not just being aesthetical, but also being a functional piece of the garment for rain. So as you can see here, there's these D-loops here. So when it starts raining, you can pull down the pocket and it lays onto the flap so that rain doesn't soak his pants and also doesn't get into the seat, causing irritation with the skin. So when it is open, there is also a place for him to put his pocket, or put his phone, and which is very valuable to him. He uses it all the time, and if he needs to contact his caregivers or anybody, it needs to be right there where he needs it. And normally he wears it right here in his lap, so we found it a very fitting space for it.
So we call our jacket the rain jacket because we're so inspired by our experience working with Ryan. Having him as a member of our team has been so fantastic, and we really feel like the function and the features that we have created in this jacket can help all people who are wheelchair users. And yeah, so that's it. Does anyone have any questions? Yes.
How many versions
So this is, sorry, the question is how many versions have we been through? This is our second prototype. The first one we made used a jacket that we bought at a thrift store for $7, a shoelace, a Ziploc bag, and a few other little supplies that we had around the house, which is, we actually have it displayed at our table in another room, so you're welcome to stop by and see the first version and what really led to this one. Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
Was Ryan able to test that version or this version?
Yeah, so Ryan was able to test our previous version, and we did make some changes, especially to the pocket, the lap flap. Our original design we had with an opening in the front of the pocket, with the intention to insert your phone on the front and then open the flap and have it displayed on the bottom. But when we tried it, we really found that it was much easier for him to use his lap sort of as a surface to push his phone over into it. So that was one of the major modification that we made since our first prototype.
What holds the lap flap up? Is that magnet?
Yeah, so the lap flap, there are magnet buttons sewn in here, and they actually attach this right to the D-loops here, which are magnetic as well. So it's strong enough to stay on, but it's easy enough for a person with limitations in their fine motor mobility to be able to open it on their own. Sure. This is Ryan over here. Thank you for your help.
Does the sensation from the rain affect your face as well? And if so, does the hoodie down?
From what I understand, Brian, it does not. Your sensation in your face comes from your cranial nerves compared to your spinal nerves, so that his cranial nerves were not affected by his injury, so that is not an issue for him. But the hood works like any other hood. It's will work well for the rain. He says often he likes to use a hood even when it's sunny out to protect from the sun. So we think that was an important feature for him as well.
Thanks so much. Hope I'm not overstepping anybody's, but actually Donna is Ryan's aunt, so it's a family business, yes. So, okay, so now we have Team Dennis. Woo! Hi everyone, we are Team Dennis, and we're so excited to be here to present to you our project. My name is Sarah Tian, and I am a grad student at Tufts in occupational therapy. This is Christopher Hertz. He is an industrial design student at RISD, and Yu Chen is a mechanical engineering student from China. And I would like to introduce to you our client, Dennis, who has been amazing to work with. He has been more of a mentor to us as well as a client. He is a public health individual professional in his 50s, and he works as an advocate for the disability community through his role at Disability Policy Consortium. He is quadriplegic and has been a wheelchair user for over 3 decades. For his work, Dennis travels a great deal, and he meets with very high-profile individuals. So he's really looking for a long-sleeve shirt that can be dressed up or down with the help of his caregiver. And we also wanted to address the issue of temperature regulation, which is common among individuals with high spinal cord injuries. So let's just take a minute to imagine all the different environments you might go through as you might encounter as you go through your day in Boston, especially in the winter.
And those transitions are even more difficult for the individual who is quadriplegic because of the impaired ability to regulate body temperature. And in general, their body temperature, baseline temperature, tends to be below average, and they have to wear multiple layers in order to stay warm, even in a room like this. Through our research, we learned more about temperature regulation among individuals with spinal cord injuries, as well as different ways to possibly address them through smart fabrics, temperature regulation technologies, and adaptive clothing designs. And we were really inspired in this research phase to create something that really integrates design, technology, and accessibility.
So after our initial research, we began looking for various companies already utilizing phase change materials in their clothing to see how we could best apply this smart fabric into our proposed design solution for dentists. One standout was Outlast Technologies for their use of this smart fabric and their performance line of clothing. And they're even kind enough to provide us with samples for us to test and choose to see what would be best suited for our design. Miniature Supply was another standout, specifically because of their use of phase change materials in their lifestyle clothing. And the company we ultimately ended up using in our final prototype, and more specifically the Apollo dress shirt, which boasts the ability to regulate temperature, or ambient comfort with temperatures between plus or minus 2 degrees. So of course we had to test out the shirt, and conveniently on one of Boston's hottest days this summer, to see if the shirt could actually live up to our expectations and whether it was actually a good fit for our design. So we fitted Dennis to make sure the shirt was tailored specifically to his needs with an A-line frame and a longer tail in the back. Because through our research we found that this was preferred by the majority of wheelchair users, and we thought that this would be best suited for Dennis's needs. So for prototyping, we went through many iterations, starting with our preliminary sketches and prototyping different strategies for how we would access and house the heating and cooling panel, as well as increase accessibility for donning and doffing with dentists caretakers. Here you can see the multiple prototypes we experimented with different strategies for concealing the zipper in the front and the sides, and how we would subtly implement the heating and cooling panel in the back.
So besides getting the best material for our shirt, and also besides designing the shirt, we also focus on designing the temperature regulation system. So our system mainly has 4 parts. The first part is the sensor. The sensor is used to read the body temperature of the user and then transmit this temperature signal to the microcontroller. And the microcontroller will then decide whether it is a good time to start those heating components or stop them. And we also have a 4th part, which is called the outside feedback. Basically, it means that you can control this microcontroller with other types of signals, such as voice command or other types of signals. So to achieve this goal, we use different types of electronic components. We embed all these components in a very small piece of soft foam, and the foam just weighs like the battery, because the battery is the heaviest part in this foam. But it is also very easy for the user to carry this panel on his back and go around. So with the phase change material and the heating panel, we are now introducing flex. We built an alpha prototype of flex, like here, and this besides the phase change material and the heating panel, it also has some other interesting features. For example, it has a concealed front zipper so that the user of flex can wear the shirt in a much more convenient way than wearing a traditional shirt with buttons. And here, the panel, we made this panel with the heating pads, but it is totally compatible with Peltier, which means that it can, if we replace the heating panel here, if we replace the heating pads inside this pouch, with Peltiers, it can behave both like a cooler and a heater. And we already developed a very simple voice command system program, so that you can control this heating panel with voice command. And so using Flex is super easy. You just attach this panel to the shirt and wear the shirt, connect the panel to your laptop, and then you can enjoy the warmth brought by technology.
We are with Danen. unfortunately cannot be here today, but we would like to thank Dennis, our client, Open Style Lab team, and the following individuals and organizations for their contributions to our project. Thank you very much.
Yeah, what made you choose that specific location on the shirt?
So the question is, what made us choose that specific location for the panel? Would you like to?
So in our research, we actually found that the two key areas which actually influence a person's comfort level relative to the ambient temperature were those two muscle groups in the back, the lower traps. And that was also through our research with various companies already utilizing similar technology to create the same effect.
Emily.
Does this company make women's clothing as well, so you can make
So the question is, does this company Flex? Are you talking about us?
No, or just
Or the company? Well, this company that we've been in contact with, they do not make women's clothing, no. So it is another market to possibly target. Another question?
How long did it take you to create the system, and how are you incorporating the voice commands?
Yes, so the question is, how long did it take us to make the system and to incorporate the voice command?
So the system, the time was spent developing this system was not so long because it's one of the most basic engineering systems. And to develop the voice command, well, we just right now to demonstrate this idea, we just use the Windows 7 API. So it's very easy to just connect it to our computer, and this speech recognition system will recognize what they say and just transmit the signal to the microcontroller, and then you will know what you're going to do.
Another question back there.
Do you have any plans to take this further for commercial use? I mean, I hate the cold winter.
A lot of people do, yeah. So we would like to continue. I think we still need to further iterate the design as well, because this is still a very rough prototype, but we would love to continue and take it further. Any other questions? Yeah, Barbie.
Is it comfortable in the back of there? Are you feeling fine that way, or was there a problem in that wheelchair?
So the question is it comfortable where it is placed? Is it comfortable for the wheelchair user or for the user? And to be honest, Dennis has been bed-bound this whole time, so unfortunately we have not been able to try it with him, but he has been really vocal about, the design and the placement. So, and the panel itself is embedded in an inch of foam, so for the average person it would be very comfortable, but we would like to make this, as I said, we would like to make this even more comfortable for the wheelchair user, and because he will be leaning back against the cushion, we're thinking of maybe even making this as part of the cushion so that it's more integrated between the apparel itself and his wheelchair. Okay, any other questions? All right, thank you so much.
Okay, now in my class, we have a lab of about 18. Also about 18 tonight. Welcome. We are the last presentation of the day. Thank you for sitting through all of these little presentations. We are Team Mike. Our client is a guy named Mike Benning, who you can see here. He's going to show off his skills at his house down in Situate. So, Mike is a former world champion in the one-arm society for golf. He's also been a Paralympian. He's a tremendous athlete. He's also an award-winning business professional. He's done sales for Titleist and a couple other golf apparel companies, and now he works for a prosthetic company doing business development. Mike's also a below elbow amputee, as you can see, and he wears a very, very high-tech prosthetic. This prosthetic works with something called myoelectric signals. These signals are given to his hand so he can change his hand grip to open and close based on whether or not he's pulsing the muscles in his residual limb. It's really important for his prosthetic to be able to work to have skin contact and muscle contact with the electrodes inside the socket.
Also, the first challenge for Mike is that he always he's residual mixing the Sweden side of solid his prosthesis, and it's very hard to control his hand with that. You can see the video now. Yeah, sorry. Okay. Second challenge that for him is that he spends a lot of time to put on his prosthesis and take it off using a pulser that right now he uses. As you can see, he has to place his prosthesis in a specific way in order to use the pulser. So we came up with the idea of the socket saw, that is this one, made by sport wicket material to reduce the moisture inside the socket, and conductive fabric in order to keep the connectivity between the muscles and the the electrodes the same way without any problem, and so it was there. You see now the difference. How much time it spends with the pulsar and how much with our sensor. What's that? Yeah. And that's it.
So my third daily challenge is keep close. My prosthetic hand sticks to my jacket. It is embarrassing to use a plastic bag to get dressed in a business meeting. So his prosthetic glove is covered in silicone, and that sticks to most fabrics. So we're trying to design something that is appropriate for a business setting. And you can see here we developed a couple prototypes. We're thinking of something that covers all his fingers, or something that is easier to fit in his pocket or his jacket or bag. So we came up with the sleeve aid, which is like a slick model. There's the CAD 3D printed model, and also we can embed a grip chip, which enables us to. So he has 10 grip chips, and each one you can program a specific grip. So if he wants to brush his teeth, he can put it on his toothbrush and tell his hand to program to hold the toothbrush. So if he wants to put his hand through the glove, his prosthetic hand into his jacket, we have the grip chip on the sleeve aid. And here you can see him putting on his jacket with the sleeve aid. Yay!
We created a bunch of different things. You can come see some of the other things we created with him in our booth. We weren't sure we were going to have time, but thank you. Thank you so much. Then I'm going to pass the mic over to Giannis because he's going to talk about the cool bracelet, because I think we have a little extra time. So thank you, everyone, and yeah.
We have done? Yeah. Okay. So the next big thing, the cool bracelet. It's that time we're going now. It's actually an automated temperature regulation system in tiny size. So how it works, I'll say that's here for the Mike's prosthesis. It has two-hole air channel there that is used in order to put it on his prosthesis through the bullsock, and then trying to reduce the moisture inside there. But it's an active way. It doesn't have any active way to extract the moisture out. So I created that thing that is a bracelet with a small fan, as you can see here, that can extract the moisture from this way. So it can be more cool inside, and it doesn't need to take it off every time. Yeah.
Where do you get your inspiration for that creativity? I mean, I know you work with the client, but actually this is a question for all of the teams. Completely in awe of where do you even begin to say, oh, let's make a cooling fan or let's do a mold of somebody's foot? I mean, I just, especially given the fact that you have, you know, an engineer, I mean, different levels of personalities on the team. I can't even formulate a question. It's mind blowing.
I would put it.
Okay.
We were going to say that we got it from you guys because you brought it on speakers and all of that. So I'm just going to say that and I'll leave it.
We will have a time for answering questions about Open Style Lab.
Oh,
but if you have questions for Team Mike, please go for it.
With the 3D printed sleeve aid, have you taken that design to hanger or put it up on Thingiverse or share open source? What do you think about it?
He asked what we're going to do with the sleeve aid design. Have we put it on open source or taken it to Hanger? And it's almost finished. It needs a few more prints and a little bit of cleanup. And then, yes, we will be taking it to Hanger. So.
Is your bracelet something I made below the knee amputee? So I have the same problem with the prosthetic and the sweat type of thing. So is what you have, is that something that can be devised so that the prosthetic would benefit just as well as the arm?
Barbara asked if it's something that you could also use for lower extremity amputation.
Yeah. Actually, it's different kind of cooling system for amputees with the leg. Because it's different kind of pressure points. For my prosthesis, it's easier because it doesn't put any time pressure on his prosthesis. For your case, there's some other research that I have made that I saw that many universities make some specific sleeve inside that it does a hydro, cooling stuff with water inside, so it doesn't need to have some holes or something with air fans.
Thank you. Put that one to Hanger too.
Back to the sock that you produced. How much less moisture did putting report that he had as well? I know that was one of the issues.
I mean, we're using, we took from like old sports clothing,
right.
So wicking fabric from there. So depending on the sports material, we use Under Armour, but I think depending on which company, there's different types.
But did he find a benefit? Like,
we didn't actually have him test it like the whole day, but it definitely was much more comfortable than just having his prosthetic.
Does Mike residual limb change shape very much? And if so, is your sock compatible with off-the-shelf socks to make that one?
Okay, the question is Mike's residual limb changes shape? And he does change shape because he flexes it in different ways to change his grip pattern. So because that the sock is in this knit structure, it's easier to change shape. So we can like make this, like if I had a lot of fabric, we can show you at the booth like how it fits onto something much bigger. We actually have a cast of his residual limb at our booth, so you can see what it actually looks like.
Is it easy for him to get the sock on, or does that require a system?
It's pretty easy. The only problem right now we need to solve is how to get the conductive patches on the right spot, because it's very specific to where his prosthetic electrodes are. That's one challenge.
We're working on it.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, so hopefully you enjoyed that as much as we have for the past 10 weeks. We have some time now to take questions about OpenStyle Lab, or if anyone has questions for any of the teams, but also happy to take that. Yes, Sarah.
I think most people in your position find it most challenging to find an appropriate number and range of true partner clients, right, to work in this kind of model. And while there's a lot of prosthetic design, there's far less what a design friend of mine would call user-initiated design, not just user-centered, but truly user-initiated. And it strikes me that that's something really distinctive about your model. And it takes, I think, a lot of hustle to find people and to say, will you partner with us? Like, will you kind of take this on, and will you kind of believe in what we're doing? And it's a pilot idea. And so can you talk a little bit about the willingness and the hustle that it takes to identify and to build trust and to make, to sort of to have truly equal partners as your clients?
That's a really good question. We can talk about the hustling that we went through. So a lot about one of the common questions we get is, how did you all find all these clients? A lot of them were through cold emailing. We cold emailed Spalding Rehab, and we got in touch with the social workers, and the social workers knew, the personalities of the people they worked with, and we told them specifically we're looking for people who are adventurous, who want to try new things. But what was also really important for us was that they would be willing to be educated, and that's the one big thing I can see. I'm so grateful to our clients for. They're very, very articulate. They're very patient with our students. Very good at explaining the challenges that they're going through.
Additionally, we've not only partnered with clients, but also a great number of mentors, including like Sarah, but also a number of OTs. And actually, we got in touch with at least 2 of our clients through our OT mentors who suggested, I've worked with this patient and he might be a good fit for this program. So I think, as with a lot of things, word of mouth is one of the best ways to find people. And they're very much self-selective, in terms of who would be willing to participate.
I think one of the things you bring up too is this sense of we're working with the clients, we're designing with the clients instead of just for the clients. And I think it really started from even the first session when we had this training for our students who were like, okay, let's learn to talk about disability. Do you say a disabled person or a person with a disability, right? So there's a lot of this people first language that we try and use. And usually in my experience in school, this has always been removed from the people with disabilities. And so here we are sitting in our classroom thinking about how do we talk about people with disabilities, when really our clients should be the one that's telling us what has their experiences been with that. And so having our clients right there with us, and I still remember Barbara being very vocal during that first session. I loved it. She emailed us later to be like, I hope I didn't, overstep my boundaries, and we're like, no, we're not. So yeah, I think having our clients be part of the full educational experience is great. Oh, sorry. Yeah.
It's interesting because I actually sort of had the opposite thought of I know so many people who would die to do something like this. And I have a lot of connections in terms of young adults with disabilities, and I think something that often gets brushed aside is the importance of creating a professional persona when you're trying to transition to adulthood and achieve meaningful, successful employment. And so to see this and something that acknowledges that for people with disabilities, I just think is amazing. And I would love to hear more about how, as people who are very interested in this, how I can help to spread the word to potential clients. That would be awesome for them.
Yeah, that's a great segue. We did that question. We're really happy to be announcing that we will be this run. Yeah, okay. So we're going to be running Open Style Lab next summer, and well, yeah, I really want to be comfortable with that. Our really fantastic first fellow class plus the clients and the mentors who are all part of the Open Style Lab family, as we mentioned before. And we would really love input in terms of how different clients that we can work with. We've been doing kind of exit interviews with our fellows so they can say to our face in terms of that we didn't do so well this year, but no, they've been very nice. But yeah, so that's part of our future plan. Would we share?
Yeah, we're also hoping to, there might be space also to carry out ad hoc projects at MIT. associated with the MIT Assistive Technology Club, where we are hoping to, like over the summer, work with people on a one-on-one basis. And then we're also considering doing an open style lab line of clothing or an alteration service. So if anyone would like to talk to us about that, we'll be very interested.
When we were thinking about how to structure this program, as a chronic student myself, we're kind of trained to think in semesters, right? So I start a project at the beginning, I do a final presentation, and get a grade. And a lot of times the idea kind of dies there. And so what we really wanted to structure into the DNA of Open Style Lab was to push all of these students to think, what can we do with these designs? Because even though it was designed with and for an individual client, there are others who may experience similar clothing challenges. So there's a lot of potential here to make these designs available to a wider population. Okay.
Yes. So I'm a breast cancer survivor, and I thought that a lot of the technology here would be really great for people who are temporarily disabled, like post-surgery, and we would love to have some outfit that's functional and fashionable. Have you thought about getting into that? I don't know what's the cost of making this kind of outfit. Is it going to be really affordable for people and?
Yeah, so you bring up a very important question about cost. So I believe you were asking, could these products or these technologies that we presented be affordable for people with disabilities? And we understand that when you have a disability, there are medical bills that also pile up and things like that, which is why we're actually really excited about the alteration service that we're talking about, because we think that that's one way where you can still live with your existing wardrobe, you can still hang on to all those pieces of clothing that have sentimental value for you, but just alter it slightly so that it's easier to wear. So those technologies can also be something that is almost like an add-on module into clothing. We would love to think, we're interested in thinking about that as well. Susan.
So some of your students, they talked about, we're not quite done yet, or there's a little bit more, there's other. So I'm curious, so where, I know that it officially ends now, but I can't imagine you're just going to say see you goodbye so long. So what's the continuation process going to be for, is there a general idea, or is it going to be more just team individuality?
Yeah. Thank you for asking that. First of all, I want to say that Susan and Maria are actually and Trisha, Trisha, hello, are all from the Museum of Science, where we are going to be presenting in October. So every Saturday in October, we'll be presenting the designs at the Museum of Science. And so, in fact, I think a lot of our students are considering refining the designs towards that showcase in October. They're actually not obligated at all to continue past this 10 weeks. But I think a lot of them have connected with their clients really strongly and would like to do so. Yes, in the back.
Can you talk a little bit about, way at the beginning, I know. This is an incredible project. What was the inception, and how did you stumble around in the first few months to come up with this?
Okay, yeah, I can tell the story and then Alice can continue. Are you talking about personally? How did this idea came about? Okay, I can share that a little bit. So I did a PhD here at MIT. It's a joint program between Harvard and MIT, and the cool part about it was that they dumped us in a hospital for 3 months. So we got to roam around, talk to doctors, talk to clinicians, talk to nurses, talk to patients, and I love talking to the patients the most. The one question I would always ask them is, what do you miss most about being healthy? And one day, I met these 2 women who had been diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. So for those of you who don't know, multiple sclerosis is a nerve-degenerating disease. So after a while, you lose your ability to say do buttons, or lose your ability to walk. So a lot of them are also in scooters near the end of their life. And the one thing I noticed about both of them was that they were both wearing very plainly stark clothing. And I had no idea why. I was like, why don't they have any like buttons or hooks or anything? So anyway, rushed it aside and continued talking to them. And I asked one of them who was in a scooter, what do you miss most about being healthy? And I really expected that she would say something to the effect of, oh, I miss being able to move around by myself. But instead she said, honestly, like, you know, if you look at me right now, I look put together and decent and everything. But what you have no idea is that this morning, my husband's on a business trip, he's away, and I had no help to put on my clothing by myself, and now everything that I used to dress myself for this meeting today is on the floor at home. So here I was, spending 4 years doing a PhD, where in scientific research, it's like very expensive. You spend hundreds and thousands of dollars a year on these really complex problems. And here I was looking at a problem that was simple, that was something I thought could be fixed right now, and something that was going to impact someone's life on a day-to-day basis. And so I was very, very drawn towards it. So I reached out to Alice and another friend of mine and started talking about this idea for Open Style Lab, and we got really excited about it. Basically, there was this grant at MIT that was going to give away money for any good ideas, so we applied for it, and we actually pulled an all-nighter for that. And yeah, so once we got the money, we're like, oh, they want to give us money for this. We got to do it now. So that's basically the idea.
Great. So my background is in public health, and I have a very deep interest in interdisciplinary collaborations and creating spaces for them. So kind of to adjust your earlier. Okay. In terms of how we structured Open Style Lab, we really wanted to bring together the perspectives of engineers, designers, and occupational therapists, because engineers kind of have a training in terms of looking at a problem and really looking for a solution for it. And the designers would bring an aesthetic appeal to it, and also the occupational therapists really have most experience interfacing with patients, bringing the human factor into it. So we just thought that this trifecta of abilities and skills would really be the ideal solution to solve these very tangible problems. And in terms of clothing, as we discussed this idea further, all of us, when we got up today to decide what to put on, clothing is very essential in terms of how we want the outside world to understand who we are, at least a little bit, or one facet of it. And because if you develop a certain physical disability or medical condition, that fashion or clothing vocabulary is suddenly very restricted. So for us, it was very much about access and reintroducing that diversity into everyone's wardrobe. And our Society for Better or for Worse is one that judges on appearance. So there are a lot of events that have either very spoken or unspoken dress codes. And again, with the accessibility, this was very important in terms of how Open Style, the philosophy behind Open Style Lab. Okay.
Also, I just wanted to point out that we have two other teammates. This is Kavita sitting right here. Kavita is a law student in New York who moved up this summer, and Kavita is actually a pediatric physical therapist, and she was the one that first asked us about putting occupational therapists into the program. So thank her. All right, so this entire program has been supported in many ways by lots of different grant agencies, but one of our major sponsors has actually been Eileen Fisher. Eileen Fisher actually sent Ruth, one of our beautiful mentors here, to be a mentor for our program. And in addition, gave us a lot of fiscal support, And we wanted to acknowledge their contribution and also reflect the design values that we really believe in by presenting this Eileen Fisher Choice Award. Ruth actually told me that Eileen Fisher only started incorporating buttons into their clothing about 10 years ago. And so they've always looked for a very simple, versatile, timeless, sleek kind of design that we love. We have Lisa Antruff. Did I say that right? Lisa Straffer. Lisa Antruff. I'm so sorry. Here with us today from one of the Eileen Fisher stores, and I'll pass it over to her to say a few words.
Well, I had prepared a few words, and now I have to say I'm inspired, blown away, touched by your work. I don't even know what to say now. But one of the things we do at Eileen Fisher is we collaborate in every aspect of the business, and so that resonated with me. It was so powerful. And whenever we have a meeting, 2 people, 20 people, 100 people, we always start with a moment of silence and a quote. And we don't have enough time to do that, but I am going to tell you. I picked a quote for today that I now think is really good. So we'll pretend we did the silence and the centering. The reasonable person adapts themselves to the world. The unreasonable one persists in trying to adapt the world to themselves. Therefore, all progress depends on the unreasonable person. So I'll just say that Eileen Fisher is so happy to be part of this herself and the company, and Ruth was in LA. I'm so sorry on business because she would be here today and probably speaking better because she went through this process. Eileen Fisher turns 30 years old today, not the woman, the company. I'm often mistaken for Eileen Fisher because we have the same hair, which I have the same everything she has. And you know, you said something, we keep it very simple. We've been designing clothes for 30 years that are simple, elegant, functional, no bells, no whistles. They last for a very, very long time. I'm going to stick around after the presentation because I want to visit all the booths, and I'll be happy to talk with anyone who's interested more about the company. Thank you.
Okay, so first I want to say that this was not a competition. Leah told me that if I say this, everyone's going to think it's a competition, but it really was not a competition. It was very difficult to choose someone that fully reflected Eileen Fisher's design values, but we decided to award the Eileen Fisher Choice Award this year to Team NG. I think, first of all, we really love that the alterations that they presented were very simple. It's something that can be applied to any dress in your wardrobe. It was sensual and beautiful. It really brought out NG's style. In fact, I'm not sure if you mentioned this, but NG's going to be using the outfits in her up-and-coming music video. It's also timeless, so the mixing and matching of the outfits allows NG to come up with lots of different looks that really contribute to longevity of the design. They were also using second-hand clothing to make those outfits. And so this whole upcycling initiative is actually something that Eileen Fisher has always supported as well through their Green Eileen Foundation. And lastly, it's functional. You know, NG can put it on really easily despite her arthritis. So without much further ado, I'm going to invite Lisa in to present some certificates to Team NG. Would you like to come forward? All right, thanks. So apart from Eileen Fisher, we have lots of other sponsors and funders. We wanted to highlight a few. So other sponsor we had was Danen Venture Capital. We also had 5 different grants from MIT. So MIT has been a huge supporter of this program. In particular, I wanted to call out the Arthur C. Smith Student Life Grant. Arthur Smith was a member of the MIT community, and this fund was set up in memorial to him. And it was the first year that this grant was awarded, so we're very privileged to be the first recipients. In addition, we have lots of different partners. Right.
So while we also had speakers and a lot of lecture-based type meetings throughout Open Style Lab, in interspersing weeks, we actually gathered at the South End Technology Center. So we really wanted to thank especially Mel King, who started the center, Pamela King, and also Susan Spenzak, who really supported the work, the prototyping work, you know, the stapling of paper and more than that. Because without their support, you know, the designs wouldn't be at the stage that they are today, the ones that you saw, and releasing across the way. So next, actually, the founder of Magna Ready, Maura Horton, is actually here with us from North Carolina. We're so grateful for her support. She's been a mentor not only for our students, but also the Open Style Lab team, really. So Magna Ready, just briefly, Maura has innovated this button-down shirt that is that has magnetically infused buttons, and she designed these shirts. Her inspiration for these shirts were from her husband, who was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. So we're very much inspired by the work that she has done. Also, we wanted to thank Susan from Cleverhood. Cleverhood is a company that's based in Providence. Is Susan here today? Yes, she very generously donated a lot of fabric, sent magnets to Team Steve. So we're just really, really grateful, and she has also been a wonderful mentor for the Open Style Lab team. So we're very, very grateful. Cleverhood is a waterproof cape that is designed especially with the needs of cyclists in mind. So please check their website out as well. Next, we'd really like to thank DNF Design and Ideal Fasteners, Scott Peters and Stephen Gebb. They very generously donated 24 mag zips to Open Style Lab so that our students could really see what their design was. Mag zip essentially is a zipper with magnets infused at the end. So sometimes I've definitely had this experience where it's really hard to connect the two ends of the zippers in order to pull the zipper up. But with mag zip, the ends find each other magnetically, and then so if it's incorporated into clothing, you can actually just pull up the zipper with one hand. Mag zip is actually going to be it's licensed to Under Armour, and it will be incorporated into their line of clothing starting this fall, I believe. So thank you to them. And Ariel Bernstein is also with us today. She works at the Age Lab. We visited them in their space during week 2. The Age Lab does a lot of creative thinking and research around how to age vibrantly. So we were very excited to be able to see their work. Also, we were very lucky to be able to take a tour of the MIT Media Lab. That was possible due to the work of Stephen Keating. We also mentioned Donna before, but thank you so much for the support and work that you've done with our team to be able to create these garments. So yeah. We also wanted to thank Flag Graphics, which is based in Somerville. They very generously helped us print these banners that you'll be seeing around with all the pictures of all the fellows. And this is a list of our mentors and speakers, without whom all of us would be very lost without their guidance.
We didn't manage to find photos for all of you. I'm so sorry. But if you were mentor, would you stand up? Or lift your head real high. Thank you. So last but not least, Dio and Kavita, our industrial teammates. They didn't know this slide was coming. And they have been our supporters and just so willingly given up their time and their energy and their sleep to make all of this happen behind the scenes. So thank you. All fellows, thank you for coming on board this adventure. We had no idea what it was going to be like, but for some reason you guys thought it was worth trusting. I don't know. It still amazes us to this day that you guys signed up for this. So, thank you.
Honestly, when we put the student applications online in March, when we got the first one, we're like, really? We don't even have an office space, and someone like applied to us. And yeah, maybe that was like, too good, actually.
And last but not least, I don't know how we can say this more, but our clients have been extremely generous in sharing their lives, and we are very grateful to all of you. Okay, and so in terms of future plans, we did talk about the clothing line and things like that, but there was one important thing that I think we forgot to mention. So in addition to our alteration service, we've actually started work on a new project, and that is OSL Sweatshop. So I know you guys are wondering when you're going to get these t-shirts. We actually have made 24 t-shirts for all of you guys. We do vinyl cutting, we do screen printing, we dry more, and we fold. So we got the whole thing covered. So that brings us to the end of it. We'll be delivering a shirt soon. Everyone else, thank you for coming. You're welcome to spend time with us at the Design Exhibit next door, and we look forward to meeting you there. Thank you.
你可以发到 Facebook， 然后我到时候给你一个邮箱。谢谢你，很厉害啊 ！Congratulations， 完全不知道。